Hey guys, in today's video, I will be comparing Flex Wheeler from the 1998 Mr. Olympia and Phil Heath from the 2012 Mr. Olympia. You guys wanted to see this comparison the most out of the four other choices, but don't worry, I will end up doing all the other options in the near future. Just before the video starts, if you guys could like and subscribe, it would be much appreciated as always, and with that all being said, let's get into this video comparison. The front double biceps is an outstanding shot for both men. Flex presents great shape with huge arms and a small aesthetic midsection. He also creates a great V-taper with those flaring lats and has an incredible X-frame. Phil is not as aesthetic as Flex but has better conditioning and massive forearms. His arms and midsection are much drier than Flex's, however both men have comparable separation in the quads. I would give this pose to Flex since he has cleaner lines and a great silhouette. Phil does not have, the better physique in my opinion. He does have a more ripped physique, but fails to capture the same X-frame and wow factor that Flex has in the front double. The front lat spread is a great shot for Flex. Although he isn't the widest bodybuilder out there, his shape and silhouette is just next level. Moreover, his chest and shoulders show striations and his arms are ripped, his quads look picturesque, and his midsection is flawless. Both fill out the pose to the same degree with comparable lat development. However, I would say that Phil looks very uncomfortable in this pose. He has the muscularity and the conditioning to beat Flex. However, his narrow structure and flawed execution of the shot holds him back. To tell you guys the truth, Phil doesn't look all too bad here. It's just that Flex has him beat with that untouchable structure. Here's the side chest pose, and from the side, Phil seems to be making up some much needed ground. His upper body is dense and conditioned, with his chest and shoulders being striated, and his arms are bursting with fullness. Phil's midsection even looks more controlled than Flex's. However, this is a rather blurry shot for Flex. Here is a closer shot for Flex, and you can see that his midsection was tight and controlled. His arms are ripped and huge, however, his chest lacks the thickness to compete with Phil. Both men have comparable side leg size and definition, however, Flex's hamstring is more impressive. His side leg shows a bit more size overall and has conditioning similar to Phil's. While Phil loses slightly in the lower half, he absolutely dominates the upper half. He is denser and more conditioned, and he looks very complete from top to bottom, so he would win this pose. The side tricep is a great pose for both guys. Flex hits the shot in an aesthetic way, showcasing his incredible midsection and quads. His chest and shoulders look very impressive, and his tricep is world class. Phil also has a world-class tricep, with his being even better than Flex's. The tricep is perfectly striated, and his shoulders, chest, and arms look grainy and conditioned. He hits the shot conventionally, and he is showcasing a conditioned huge side leg. Phil's midsection isn't as aesthetic as Flex's, but it is controlled and well developed. This is kind of like an apples versus oranges case, since both men look near perfection in this pose, but present two very different packages. Personally, I prefer the aesthetics and presentation of Flex, so I would have him beating Phil in this shot. The back poses are where Phil surely will make up some of the poses, and here there's no question that he is. His back is thick and conditioned, and his glutes and hams are more separated than Flex's. Flex does have a good back, but he lacks the thickness to battle with Phil. Moreover, his lower body doesn't show nearly enough condition, especially in the glutes. The back poses are where Phil surely will take some victories, and here there's no question that he is. His back is thick and conditioned, and his glutes and hams are more separated than Flex's. Flex does have a good back, but he lacks the thickness to battle with Phil. Moreover, his lower body doesn't show nearly enough condition, especially in the glutes. Here is a closer up shot, and you can see that the conditioning disparity is rather large. Flex shows no separation in the glutes and his hamstrings look watery. However, his back does look pretty good. It still isn't good enough to beat Phil, but it's conditioned and he has great arms. Although Flex does look pretty good, Phil does beat him in every muscle group and in the conditioning department as well, so Phil will win this shot. The rear lat spread has never really been a good shot for Flex. He always had problems opening up fully in this pose, however, he doesn't look all too bad here. His back is well developed and shows solid separation, however, Phil's back is so much thicker. Phil, once again, has the better conditioned and muscular back, with his traps and lats looking tremendously dense. Moreover, the lower body needs no discussion, as Phil automatically wins in that department. Phil is just markedly better in every aspect from behind, but that doesn't mean that Flex is inherently bad. Turning back to the front, we have the abs and thigh, and here, this is where Flex can really shine again. His feathered quads and statuesque midsection are legendary, and he looks very aesthetic in this pose. Phil looks good too, and if it weren't for that midsection, he would take this pose in my opinion. His quads, while they aren't striated, are huge and ripped, and he has a more impressive V-taper. The only criticism I have for Flex is that he is a bit narrow in this pose, which does take away from his silhouette. I would still have him beating Phil though, since his midsection and his quads look better and he presents a much more aesthetic package. The most muscular pose is a great shot for both guys. Flex looks absolutely perfect here. He shows zero flaws when looking at him alone. However, when comparing him with Phil, you can notice that he isn't as dense through the chest and shoulders. The quads and arms are very complete for both men, but I would give Flex a nod in the former and Phil an edge in the latter. Flex would have a slight advantage in this pose solely because of his complete midsection, which does look much better than Phil's. Although Flex had a slight advantage in the last pose, Phil dominates in the crab most muscular. His dense upper body and crazy conditioning shines here, and he looks insanely three-dimensional. Flex does look incredible too, with those feathered quads and great arms. However, I'd say that Phil is just miles better through the chest, the shoulders, traps, and the conditioning aspect. The midsection is virtually unnoticeable in this shot too, which helps Phil take the advantage in this pose. Overall, I'd give Phil the edge in the most muscular poses, as his density and conditioning were world class. So guys, that about does it for this comparison. I had this one ending in a 4-4 tie. Flex won the majority of the front poses by virtue of his incredibly aesthetic physique, while Phil won his shots through sheer dense conditioned muscle. Shots like the most muscular and the side tricep could have gone either way, since both men did look phenomenal, so that could have changed the outcome of this comparison depending on what you prefer. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.